Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and welcome to the almost internet famous weekly TechSpective Happy Hour. I'm actually going to start off on that point between the Happy Holidays and the Merry Christmas, and I'm not going to go on and on about the war on Christmas and the fact that there is no such thing, because all of the entire culture of the United States revolves around Christmas. From like October 1st to January 15th, you can't get away from Christmas. So any implication or suggestion that anyone's trying to like prevent or hide the celebration of Christmas is just ludicrous. But I was thinking about that recently, actually thanks to a obnoxious post from the Secretary of Agriculture or something in Texas, whining about people saying Happy Holidays. And it occurred to me, and feel free to comment, correct me if I'm wrong. Happy Holidays is not a new thing. That's not like a politically correct thing. It's not something that we just recently invented because we're afraid to say Christmas or we don't want to offend other religions. It's been a catch-all way of, greeting someone during this time of year since as far back as I can remember when I was a kid. And it had nothing to do with, it didn't even have anything to do with other religion, Hanukkah or other religious celebrations that might be going on at the time. In my opinion, it had more to do with the fact that because Christmas, even though it's only one day, became, you get Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then you got the 12 days of Christmas, and Black Friday became Black Week, became Black November, became, so Happy Holidays, to me, it encompasses from Thanksgiving, maybe even Halloween, but definitely Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. That's kind of the three primary holidays of the holiday season. So when you say Happy Holidays, to me, it's a way of saying, I'm going to wish you a Happy Thanksgiving, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year, all in one. Get it all out of the way. It's got nothing to do with being politically correct. It's got nothing to do with, whatever, taking the Christ out of Christmas or whatever it is people are complaining about. So that's my thoughts on that. Before we get to the featured beverage of this week, I wanted to say that a friend of mine invited me last week to go to this event, and it was hosted by Carback Brewery, which is a local brewery here in Houston, and it featured some beers that they've crafted, for the holiday season. And one in particular is called You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, with a very clever play on words where it's Y-U-L-E instead of Y-O-U''LL. So Yule, as in the holiday season, shoot your eye out. Very good beer. I highly recommend it. I'm not sure how long Carback Brewery has it in stock for the holidays, but that was a very good beer. So we met at Carback Brewery. They had like a trivia contest for the movie A Christmas Story. The representatives of Carback Brewery were dressed in head to toe pink fuzzy bunny pajamas, which is a reference to the movie. We got to shoot BB guns at targets, which is also a reference to the movie. And then we got to, they put us on buses and took us over to Hobby Center, and we got to see A Christmas Story, the musical, which was very well done. It's over now, so it's too late for you to go see it this year. But if you get a chance to see A Christmas Story, the musical, I recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the movie, which I am. We watch that movie every year as part of our Christmas traditions. So anyway, that was a good time. So in honor of Christmas, this week we're going to do Shiner Holiday Cheer. For those of you who don't know, Shiner is also a Texas brewery. We have, I'm not sure if Shiner's in Houston though, but we have Carback and St. Arnold here in Houston. Shiner is definitely one of the Texas favorites. And that's good. I honestly, I was expecting more of a just straight up beer. I hadn't actually read the bottle, but it says ale brewed with peaches and pecans and natural flavors and caramel color. All right, so got some peach and pecan flavors in there. It's a little bit darker than your standard Miller Lite or Budweiser, so that's pretty good. All right, so let's talk some tech from last week. One of the first things I actually did a lot less of that of the predictions this year, but every year around this time you have a ton of articles wrapping up the year, like the best top 10 things of 2015, the top 10 worst fails of 2015, the top 5 things we got right when we made our predictions for 2015 a year ago, and then that's accompanied by or followed by all of the here's the top 10 things we expect to happen next year, and it's kind of played out. So I chose not to really do much of that. But I did post a little bit of it. So I had one post. It was basically a collection of quotes and insights from other tech experts about what to expect in 2016 for business IT and DevOps. So that there were things like log management will play a larger role. Business leaders will demand better insight. The sharing economy will transform IT. Enterprise DevOps will grow rapidly. They're all, I think reasonable predictions. But one of the things that, I'm not the first to have this thought. I think this also comes up every year, but I'd like to see, or would be interested in, I guess compiling it myself, some sort of analysis of, A, how often are we getting these right when we make these predictions? But B, how often are we making the same predictions year after year? For instance, we've been saying for years, the password's going to die. We've been saying for years, it's the end of antivirus software. Whatever. There's certain predictions that just keep coming up and never really happen, but they're still the same prediction, the next year. We still insist that is going to happen eventually. And if we just keep predicting it enough years in a row, eventually it will happen and we'll be, Nostradamus. So that was one thing. Then I had a couple posts we did this week that revolved around security over the holidays, and again, kind of more from a business perspective than personal. But there was one article about cyber criminals don't take the holidays off, and that's true. From a corporate perspective, from an enterprise perspective, it seems like a lot of businesses basically shut down from like mid-December on. You've got the standard holidays. The company might give you Christmas Eve day and Christmas Day off, or New Year's Eve day and New Year's Day off, or whatever. And then, most of the people who have vacation available will take off those days in between. So they're at least off from like December 23rd to January 2nd or 3rd at a minimum. Then you have a whole bunch of people who have a bunch of vacation days accumulated that the company won't let you roll them over, or will only let you roll over so many, and they have to take time off. And so the bottom line is you have a lot of people taking a lot of time off, and basically you're running on a skeleton crew and nothing much is getting done those last couple weeks. But that's when the cyber criminals, the hackers, the malware developers, and whatever else you want to call them. That's their prime time. That's their season, because there's nobody really at home, watching what's going on. So that's the really the best time to attack. So I had put together some thoughts about how to minimize the risk, and one of the things is turn off the things you're not using. If everyone goes home for the holidays, but all the servers and all the desktops are still on, then the bad guys have a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to just poke around, see what they could see, kind of make their way through the network and exploit different things. Those the desktop endpoints shouldn't be on. Nobody's there to use them, so turn them off. Servers that aren't being actively used, if it's just a file server and nobody's there to use it, turn it off. The less things that are on connected to the network, the less opportunity there is for attackers to infiltrate the network. So that was one. Then there was an article contributed by Dr. Gong from TAIFWTHH that talked about the top 8 financial malware families. So it's Zeus, SpyEye, Torpig, Vawtrak, Biblo, Shylock, Dridex, and Dire. And again, this is the Super Bowl of hacking and malware, because everyone's guard is down to some extent because you're so busy shopping, you have a lot more transactions, so you're not paying as much attention. A lot of people are not scrutinizing their statements as much as they normally do, because there's so many transactions that they already know there's going to be more than usual, and so it's easy to lose stuff in the mix there. And then it's also a time when you have a lot of people are expecting a lot of things to be shipped. You've got UPS notifications and FedEx notifications, which is a good way to launch a phishing attack and get people to open a file attachment or click on a link that they wouldn't normally open that file attachment or click on that link, but they're already in the mindset of expecting packages and expecting communications from UPS and FedEx. So it's a good time to do those things. In the article, there's some advice shared for how to avoid becoming a victim of these financial malware attacks, like being careful what you click. Stick with your trusted applications. Don't now's a bad time to decide to download some new or possibly shady application. Just stick with what you know. Make sure whatever you do, even if you're going to get a new app or whatever, make sure you get it from a reputable source. Get your Android apps from the Google Play Store or the Amazon Store. Get your iOS, your iPhone apps from the Apple iTunes Store. Don't download your stuff from shady third parties. And then, the other piece of advice in there was to patch often and be wary of pop-ups. Now, pop-ups can be tricky sometimes because, the developer, the malicious developer can create the pop-up in such a way that can still mislead you. So they could put a button, for instance, that says close, that actually, if you click it, means okay or means you accept the download, so that can get a little bit tricky. Anyway, so that's that. And then wrapping up with an article about Tesla, and why Tesla is the future of automobiles. I haven't had the opportunity to drive one yet. I really hope I get to drive one soon. I agree with a lot of what Rob shared about the Tesla. So take a look at that article and share your comments. Let me know. So anyway, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And we will talk with you again next week, possibly next year. I might do this next year. or actually not next year. I might not do this next week because Friday is also New Year's Day. So let's leave it there.